Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're going to be talking about the new fusion champion, Karato. Now, Karato Foxhunter, I should say. You can see him right behind my head there. Very cool champion. Land from the Wheel of Time is how I think everybody's describing him, and I think that's pretty apt. And you can see we have, it's a full-blown fusion, right? Where you got to get the rares and the epics and level them all up, and you can see the schedule over here on the side. That's a picture that Playroom actually provided, so that's kind of cool. This is going to be an interesting champion. I don't know that I'm going to recommend this fusion for everybody. In fact, probably most of you will lean against doing this. Now, I want to be very clear about this. I am always in favor of doing a fusion. Whenever you have the opportunity to get a new legendary champion, basically free, you take it, right? It's being offered. Why not get it? That's the whole point of this game. It's a gotcha game. You got to get them all, right? But I understand also that there's some people have more resources than others, right? I don't have an issue spending money on this game, but a lot of people don't. And, my first year playing, I didn't spend a dime. So I understand that. And I think that if you're really conservative with your resources, if you don't have enough resources, you think, to do this fusion, this is not, I don't think this is a bad one to skip. I don't think you're going to miss it. And it comes down to Karato is a very good but not great champion. He's not going to change your account. To me, he reminds me a lot of a champion like Astralon. Very similar type of multipliers, similar types of damage numbers. But his kit is actually, in my estimation, just a little bit weaker. He doesn't quite, he's not going to excel in any one area of this game, I guess is how I would put it. I think he's going to be very usable in Clan Boss, and I plan on showing you guys some footage of that. He's going to be pretty usable in Arena, and I'm going to show you some footage of that, both with and without Yumeko, so you can get an understanding of how good he is. But the problem, as always, is it takes so many resources to do this fusion. If this champion isn't account changing, for a lot of people, that's not going to be worth it. And that's really where it comes down to. I know for my account, he's probably just going to live in my vault from now till, whenever, just because that's, for me, he's not going to make any changes to it. I would honestly probably prefer bringing in an Astralon or a Herndig as opposed to Karato. These are old fusion champions that were available, right? But that said, if you don't have a damage dealer for Arena, I think he's going to be great for you. If you don't have a control champion for Arena, I think he could be great for you. There's definitely places where he's going to be really useful. And if you do have a Yumeko, if you got lucky enough to pull her, he's going to be insane. He's very, very strong when paired with her. And that'll make him exceedingly good for things like dungeon waves. Of course, Yumeko's OP. So if you have her, you don't even need him, really. That's, kind of a secondary thing. But for me, one of the other things that he might be really good for is faction wars. When you're talking about the Shadowkin, faction, he's obviously going to be really strong for that, right? He is good damage dealing wise. He does bring you a lot of control for the waves. Those are things that can be really, really important. So if you're struggling with that, that might be an excellent reason to go ahead and get him. So kind of keeping all that in mind, you can see this is the fusion, right? And thankfully it's the same champions again, makes it a little easier for people. But, you have to get the same 4 rare champions for each one. And some of these rares are pretty good. So if you're a very early game player and you're like, dude, there's no way I can do this fusion, target some of these rares. Some of them are pretty good, and I think might be able to scale up for, to level 60 and be worth it for your account. They're not great. They're not crazy, crazy champions, but some of them are pretty cool. And then we also have Filja here, and I am not a huge fan of Filja. She's got some cool turn meter control stuff, but, just another attack champion. I don't think anybody that's going to break into, she's not a champion that's going to break into anybody's team, I don't think. Although she does have some nice turn meter manipulation. But so but you have to level rank each one of these rares. You have to do the same thing with the epics, and then you can get them into Karato there. So it takes a lot of resources to get all that done. So I understand if you guys aren't interested in doing that, and I think this is a fusion to skip if that is the case with you. I'm going to be doing it. I always recommend you do it. I want to be, upfront with that. But if you're going to skip a fusion, this is not going to be a bad one to do that with. This Karato Foxhunter clearly looks like Land from Wheel of Time. He has a really cool kit. I love the scars and stuff, but I kind of want to go through his skills really quickly here, just so we cover exactly what he brings. Triple attack on the A1, that means you can use Giant Slayer on him. It's things like Clan Boss with a weaken debuff. That's also a really nice thing. does book up to a, what is that, 30% chance to land. It's kind of like Vizier. It's going to stay up for the full fight if you bring him into Clan Boss. A2 skill here. It's a single target skill. This hits extremely hard. It brings a stun debuff for 2 turns, which is really unusual and really helpful. And it'll grant him, if Yumeko's on the same team, it'll grant him an extra turn and reset the cooldown of the skill so he can go boom, 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 and knock everybody down. Now, in Arena, it's way less likely that's going to happen with things like Swift Parry, Ursuga, Necrit. It's just not as common a thing, so I wouldn't count on it for Arena, but it is very fun when you can get it to work. And then his A3 here is an AoE. It hits very hard. It is kind of comparable, I'd say, to like an Astrolon as far as damage, and it also brings a block active skills debuff for 2 turns, so he has some utility outside of just being a damage dealer. You can build him with accuracy and just lock down the enemy skills, or you can build him with damage, and I think either way will work for him. The cool thing, if you're with Yumeko, is this debuff can't be resisted, so you can just build him straight damage and still get the benefits of locking down the enemy without having to worry about it landing or not. That's actually really nice. Passive ability, damage inflicted can't be decreased by enemy passive or masteries, so any of the defensive tree masteries, not going to have an effect. Also, Duchess won't have an effect on reducing the damage you take. That's like a massive, massive ability right there. That's really strong. And that's really one of the things that makes him so viable for Arena is Duchess's passive shouldn't have any effect on him. So that's really cool. One of the things on here that is controversial is that his damage can't be increased by ally passives or masteries. Now, the passive ability I haven't really been able to test. The masteries part, I do test it, and I'm going to show you some of that towards the end of this video here. As I bring him into Clan Boss, we'll be able to actually test some of those masteries. My feeling is the masteries work on him. I think they messed that up and it doesn't work. I think they did some Plarium coding on that and just does not work properly at all. So for me, build him with the masteries like you normally would, and they should work for you. That's my understanding. That's from my testing. That's the feeling I'm getting. I have not seen anything to counter that. So, obviously, everybody's going to have their own, you're going to have to test that on yourself if you really want to know everything. But from the testing I've done, and it is hard to tell, it seems like those masteries do apply. So, take that for what it's worth. But I'll show you at the end. You guys can make your own judgments on that. He also has a really nice crit rate order, which is going to be great for things like Clan Boss. Having a crit rate order for your leader in Clan Boss is awesome because you can build everybody with less crit rate. This is why Bellinor is such a good champion there, and it's going to make him very viable there too. So let's look at the build I did for him in Arena, and then we'll show him in Arena, and then we'll go to Clan Boss. Mastery-wise, I just went full nuke, right? Went down to Helm Smasher, full nuke kind of build here, trying to get as much damage out of him as possible. And then I went support tree to add accuracy to his kit as much as I could as well. And that's the approach I took. As far as the build, I went full accuracy. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I prefer a champion that can be an A+ in 1 skill rather than a B in 2 skills. And when it comes to Arena, that's generally how I build my champions. So if they're an accuracy build, I build them with full accuracy. If they're a damage build, I build them with full damage. And then I try to find the other stats in there to supplement it, but my primary focus is on the main approach. With him, this build, it's going to be damage, and it's going to work. Savage set, Cruel set, and we've got him, I think, pretty well kitted out. 6100 attack, 240 crit damage, 196 accuracy. I would like to bump this up, to be honest. I'd love to have that closer to 300, but is what it is. Very slow at 161, like way too slow, honestly. I'd like to get another 10 or 20 speed on him, but it is what it is. We're going to deal with what we got. So I have, we're going to go against this team. I don't know if we're going to win or not. That's not going to be the point of this video, winning these fights. It's just showing off Karato and what he can do. So I'm bringing in Arbiter and Siphi to try and go first and stay going first. We're going to get increased attack buff from Arbiter here. And then we have Angar here to lock down the enemy with provokes. And that's important because we have him going so slow. We're not speed tuned. We would get interrupted. So I need to be able to lock down the enemy one way or another. Hopefully Angar is going to be able to do that for us. So let's go in. We'll see what we can do here and see if this is a viable approach to things. So we are going first, so we're going to get the speed up buff here. Same thing with Arbiter. Get that provoke. All right, we landed on a couple people. That should be enough. Let's go ahead and sleep her. And now we get to go. So at this point, generally, my approach would generally be coming with the A3, hit them all hard, lock down their skills, and then we finish them up with the A2, and you can see that hits hard, right? We took Leorius all the way down. We took Duchess down to half, and they have an Ursuga on their team. That's not a bad ability right there. Very, very strong, I would say. Now, obviously, you know, this is going to be, we don't have everybody provoked, which is going to be problematic as far as keeping him alive. So, yep, there you go. We can come here against this team, kind of get the same approach going. Now, what I mean, I don't know if we're going to win or not or anything like that. This, again, not the point here. They have things like Scone Skin. We don't have anybody stripping any buffs, so it's definitely going to be trickier, but we got the right provoke out when we needed it, and we should be able to see his big AoE hit. Boom. Totally took out Warlord, took Duchess down to half. That's a massive, massive skill right there. Really, really strong. You know, again, we're not going to win. That's not the point, right? But you can see that A3 is a very, very strong hitting ability. So we can come in again, do everything exactly the same. Hopefully we get to go. Hopefully we provoke Warlord again, I think. So we got the provoke on Warlord. That's what we're looking for. We can go ahead and sleep Duchess there. That's fine. And now we should be able to come in. I want to show you his A2 skill, how strong this is. Hopefully, I think we can just kill Warlord like that. 90,000 damage. Single target. Good night. We'll go ahead and bring in Kymar. So instead of Arbiter with the increased attack, we'll bring in a Madame Ceres with the decreased defense. See if we can't sleep the enemy. Now, you remember, these Duchess teams, it doesn't matter. I don't care about Duchess because he's going to completely ignore her passive ability here, which is what makes him so incredibly strong. And then here he goes. A3 ability. Boom. One-shot kill. It's a strong skill, guys. Very, very strong skill. And so you got to get the idea. This is what the guy can do. Very good. Very, very good. So let's mix it up. So I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't show Karato with Yumeko, and this is Hell Hades' team, so it's a quality team that we're going to be going against, but you're going to be able to see what we do with our A3 skill here, and I think that's going to be important, just to kind of get an idea of what he can do with her. You know, that automatic being able to place of skills is super, super nice. Now, obviously, you know, their Duchess goes, their Duchess is annoying, so they have block buffs up. It is very frustrating to kind of have to deal with that, but all the same, we can still come in with our big A3 skill here and do pretty decent damage. You can try and strip those buffs again, which we are successful with, which is great. And because we're going to be able to reset these skills eventually here, we'll be able to get another chance at that, which is always really fun. Again, these abilities and these skills are just great to have in general, all the way around. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to show really quickly here. See if I can't get through this rather fast. So yeah, here you go. You can see we're going to place that A3. Boom. Automatically places. Everybody's skills are locked down. It's great. Well, I don't have to worry about that. I mean, we got Yumeko on the team, so she's cooling it down anyway, but it's a nice little side bit there, I have to say. Which is great because it also sets us up for the next part, which is coming in with his A2 and just kind of going to town with that, which is a lot of fun. If we can get a turn and we don't die and all sorts of everything else wonderful happens, please. Okay, good. He slipped. He slept. That's excellent. Go ahead and do that. Perfect. Now we can come in with the A2 and we can just kind of go through them one at a time, right? Boom, Necrit, down, right? Let's go Arbiter, boom, down, no problem. We can go on to Duchess, boom, down, no problem. Let's see, can we even take out Candrafon? Boom, down. That's it. That's where he's fun. That's how he's cool. It's not something we're going to have every single time. Like I said, Swift Parry messes it up. Necrit messes it up. You notice I had to use the A3 twice to even really get to a point where I could go through that. But if you can, it's very fun. All right, let's test Karato in Clan Boss here. Now I have him in an easy double man-eater team. It's real easy to kind of see what we're doing without having to worry about, staying alive and stuff like that. And I brought Rosin in to do a very solid damage comparison, I think, which is going to be great. Now, Karato's big thing is he's got a triple attack on his A1, allows us to use Giant Slayer. It does hit well and hard, and it puts a weaken debuff too, which is useful. So he'll pair well with somebody like a Martyr. We're just going to use that skill. I will show off the other two skills so you can kind of get an idea of the damage that they can do, but we're really focused on that A1 skill. You can see I have 5,400 attack, 258 crit damage. The reason why I point that out is Rosin, I have 5,200 attack, 256 crit damage. So you guys can compare the damage that the two of them do. And this is why he's okay for Clan Boss, but not somebody I would really go, oh, I gotta have him in there. He'll be good, but I don't think he's going to be great, and you'll see as we go through the fight as far as like the damage potential that he can do here. Masteries have weird effects on him, right? Some of them work, some of them don't. All the tier 6 ones work, right? Whether it's War Master, Giant Slayer, Flawless Executioner, or Helm Smasher. The reason why is none of those are direct damage boosts, right? They're not percentage damage increase to what he does, right? Where there's a few of them though, where it's like, you know, if he has full HP, he gets a bigger percentage to his damage. If he has half health, he gets a bigger percentage to his damage. Those are interesting ones that aren't supposed to have an effect on them. The others do, but not those. I don't know why that is. It's so asinine as far as the reasoning goes. Like, why would you just select 3 or 4 masteries not to have an effect as opposed to all of them or none of them? It doesn't make any sense to me, but you know, that's not my job, so that's fine. What is interesting though is there is a skill called Methodical in the attack tree, and it's a really, really good skill for clan boss because every time you use your base attack, that's my understanding of it, right? Your A1 skill, it'll up the damage of your skills. Now, I think it's supposed to just affect your A1, but in my experience, it seems to affect all the skills because as a fight progresses, champions do more damage. So if we look here on his first attack, he's going to do about 33,000 damage on each one, right? So that's solid baseline, right? In that 33,000 range, right? Rosin here on his first attack is going to do 35,000 damage. What I'm going to expect is that Rosin's damage is going to increase as the fight goes on. Karato's isn't, or at least it's not supposed to. So we'll see if that's how that works or not. Because overall, it becomes about a 10% damage increase. That's how that boost works. It should be about a 10% damage increase. Now, we can keep using the A1, right? And we can kind of see how it's doing. So 31, 32, 33,000 damage off of that gives us a solid baseline for his damage potential, right? With Rosin here, 32,000 damage, right? Again, solid baseline. So Rosin's anywhere from 32 to 35,000. Karato all the way down to 31, up to 33,000, and, you know, places in between there. And there's always that swing on damage, right? It's never a static number. It can go plus or minus 10%. Off the number it's actually dealing. So there's going to be some variance to that. But we kind of want to have that kind of clue of like, what are we doing? Yeah, again, 32 to 34,000, right? That's like the 3rd or 4th time we've used it. So, you know, we'll see if this damage actually increases as we go through this fight. With Rosin here, kind of the same thing. And you can see we're starting to get 37,000, 32,000. That's a pretty sizable swing right there, I think. And what I want to see is at the very end of the fight, where are those numbers at? You know, how have they improved? Are they improving? Are they staying the same? Because I definitely know Methodical can have an impact over the course of a fight. Now, as far as Karato's other skills, his A2, really nice hitting skill, right? 160,000, nothing to scoff at. I mean, if you compare that to what Rosin does, 137,000, it's pretty comparable, right? Now, he should be doing a little bit more damage anyway, but it's pretty comparable numbers. So it's not too bad. It's not a bad skill at all. I still prefer the A1 because we're getting those Giant Slayer procs. And overall, that's going to give us more damage because every time that hits is like an extra 70,000, right? A3, 113, 111,000. And there goes Rosin's A3, 94,000. So pretty comparable numbers overall, I would say. At this point, we can go ahead and click auto here. And I'll let this run. And we can see at the end what kind of damage numbers we're doing. So I'll jump towards the end of the fight. We can see Karato's A1, we can see Rosin's A1, and kind of compare that a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and look at the end damage numbers and see how he compares. Okay, guys, we're about 5 turns from the end here, 3 or 4 turns, so I figured it'd be a good time to take a look at the damage that they do. Here goes Karato, 34,000 across the board, and you can see Rosin, 34,000, but also hit up to 40,000. That's pretty much the highest I've seen. I've been watching this whole fight, and his top number has been 40,000. Karato's top number has been about 37. But Karato also goes down about 31. Rosin's bottom number is about 33,000 out of that. And obviously there's a 10% range. There's always a 10% range, plus or minus on the damage that you do. And if you're noticing those smaller numbers, it's counterattacks from the masteries. But there you go. 34, 31, 33, 34, 34, 34. Those are definitely the lower end for Rosin, but I've seen them jump all the way up to 40,000. And you guys saw it just a little bit ago. So you can see there is definitely a difference in the damage numbers. You know, the potential. I don't know that Methodical's having any impact whatsoever on Karato. My guess would be no. It seems to be doing the same kind of damage numbers. Rosins do seem to have climbed a little bit as a result of that. But you can see comparison-wise, Karato did more damage, did about 10 million damage to Rosin's 9. It's pretty close, and I would not be surprised in a subsequent run that those numbers are reversed. One of the things that has a major impact is obviously counterattacks from the masteries in the defensive tree. And so I have that on both of them. It's just because I automatically build clan boss teams the way they're supposed to be built. And so that definitely is going to have that impact on the damage there. So that's something we're going to want to keep in mind. I don't think this is definitively he's better than Rosin. They literally use their A1s every single time, and you could consistently see Rosin's doing more damage per hit. So even though Karato has higher numbers, so Rosin's going to be a better damage dealer, I'm pretty confident in saying, for clan boss here. Now, I didn't have Karato's A2 active. That's a very strong hitting skill, and it may be worth keeping that up. We would give up some Giant Slayer procs potentially, but that skill seems to do considerable amount of damage, maybe almost twice as much as his A1 does, and that might be the balancing factor there. Might give him a lot more damage than compared to Rosin. Plus, if you're running Rosin, typically you're going to have his A2 active as well, and kind of a similar thing. So definitely something to keep in mind, but clearly a solid champion for clan boss as far as damage dealer, and a weakened debuff champion. He has it on his A1. It'll be up for the full fight. So real quick, guys, I decided to go ahead and test this without any of those masteries just to see if there's a difference between Karato. And you can see he's doing 28, 29, 30,000 damage. Rosin's still doing the same kind of damage he was doing before. But I took all those percentage masteries off the side of the mastery tree off for Karato, right? So no methodical, the damn thing that increases the damage based off of the enemy max HP, that, gives you an extra 6% if they have higher HP than you. That part I took off. And I'm seeing a significant damage reduction. I think all the offensive masteries work on them. I think that they bugged it. It's not working right. But we have numbers like 28,000, 29,000. I've been seeing 26, 27,000. A significant damage reduction from what we were doing before, where every hit was at least 31,000 at the minimum. But you can see 26,000 right there. It's definitely less than what we were doing before. So I can't say I have this confirmed by anybody, but I am 100% sure that some of those masteries are working. I'm not going to say all of them, but I think all of them are, affecting him as far as clan boss. So I would build him mastery-wise the same way you would any other damage champion, and you're going to be able to see here, look at that. Almost 2 million less damage we did simply by changing those masteries that I had on Karato. That's the only difference I made on those champions. In fact, we can go ahead, I'll show you right now exactly what I'm talking about. I haven't changed his gear, I didn't change his stats. All I did was change his masteries. Look, gear's the same, stats, they're the same, right? Same attack, same crit damage. The only thing I did is I took off all those percentage masteries down the side of the tree. So I took off Heart of Glory. It wasn't going to affect it much anyway. I took off Singled Out, wasn't going to affect it anyway. But what I did take off and is going to affect it is Bring It Down. Increases damage by 6% against targets with higher max HP. Well, that's clan boss. Yeah, I took that off. Had a significant damage reduction. I took off Methodical. Had a significant damage reduction. Now, I can't say for sure that all of those have an impact, but I can say that something is. And that's the only change I made. So, keep that in mind as you're building your champion. Okay, guys, that's Karato. That's everything I could show you about Karato. I think that's relevant. We showed him in Arena. We showed him Clan Boss, what he can do, where he's going to be good at. He's definitely good in Clan Boss, right? Not great, but good. And if you need a weakened debuff, he's going to be an excellent option. That's having it on the A1 means it's going to be up consistently. Also having, you're able to put Giant Slayer on him, which is definitely a damage bump for most people. You can see his damage is very comparable to Rosin, who is a very strong damage dealer in his own right. So definitely somebody that is going to be useful in that at the very least for you. He's also pretty darn good in Arena. He's got his limitations, obviously. He's going to be way better with like a Yumeko. But and only having one AoE skill definitely limits him. That A2 skill is super fun, but it's hard to find the right team because when enemies have over 100,000 health, it's very difficult to actually kill them with that skill. Not to mention things like swift parry, reaction gear, Ursugas just in general and Necrits in general make everything a lot harder when it comes to the top end arena. But I think when you're talking about lower ends of arena, when you're talking about even gold 1, 2, 3, you're talking, I guess, gold 4 now, or even silver and bronze arena, I think he's going to be really, really strong there with that. So he's definitely somebody that I think can be useful for a lot of you out there. I do encourage you to do the fusion, but I understand if you don't want to. I totally get it. If this is not your jam, I think this is one that you're gonna be okay missing, right? You're not gonna regret him not having him on your account. I don't know anybody that didn't get Astralon and regretted it, or didn't get Herndig and regretted it. I do know people that regretted not getting people like Underpriest Brogni or Iron Brago, people that have really unique skill sets. He's not one of those people. So I think you're going to be okay if you skip this fusion. But hopefully you do it, because I feel like he's going to be useful. And there's always the potential that he's going to get bumped, especially when they pair him with somebody like Oyumeko. There's definitely an incentive on players' part to make sure this is a good champion and somebody that's being used in the game. So, keep that part in mind. Anyway, guys, hopefully this was helpful for you. I do encourage you to hit that like and subscribe. Always is a great way to support the website. If you guys would like any account work, I do have a Patreon. Link down below in the pinned comment description of this video. It's on my website. It's pretty much everywhere in my media stuff. So go ahead and check that out if you would like some help with your account. And that's all we got. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.